just record, or you can just push play.
It's alright?
Yeah.
Okay. How old were you when the witness work started?
With Israel?
Yeah. Oh wait, no. He was when you. That's right. Now, in the Annals of Israel, should we go all the way back to when you started as a witness and everything that you went through, being called out? Esther and I are on the witness work only. In that chapter, how much should be brought out about the witnesses? We're digging up information about when we started, Brooklyn, and all that. And we thought we'd go way back.
When I come into the witnesses?
We thought maybe when you came in, when you were baptized, how long you were a witness. Would that be included in the chapter? Why don't you go get her piece of paper, please?
Well, I started study when I was 24 by myself in Richland. Yeah, and it wasn't until about 7 months that I met a witness standing on the street. I guess I told you that, right?
Till 7 months.
7 months later.
Okay. Yeah, I heard that, but it's good to get it
Right.
accurate.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It was in October.
Okay.
And, I had been looking for him and failed to find him. And one time, Ioanna says that they were, when I was out working, he says he saw the witnesses going from door to door. And I became so excited, I was trembling. I wanted to meet him, But all, at the same moment, I was so thrilled to meet him, I knew that when I met him, I would be disappointed. It would be something to hurt me. And that proved to be the case. Because after I met them, I found out where the hall was and everything, and I brought 6 others with me. There was only 11 attending studies, and 6, myself 7. I almost doubled the group. And I never had any studies of any kind with anyone. And then I began to see the competition, some of the members. And
Should we bring out who you brought in? Your sister?
it was Danny Peters and my sister. And then Danny Peters' sister, Danny's brother and his wife. That's 5. Ioanna, 6, and I was 7. It was a family affair.
So it was a small congregation,
Mm.
and that doubled it.
Right. And then I had, it was during the war, and I was drafted. And I was working in the post office when I was drafted, and as I was walking the mail route, all of a sudden the Holy Spirit says, "You're not going to jail." Anybody who didn't go to the Army doesn't face 5 years. So I began to tell the witnesses I wasn't going to go to jail. This brought opposition. Actually, I should have kept my mouth shut. They didn't understand it. You know, Jehovah doesn't deal with anybody. He says so. And then I also decided that I wouldn't go to for the first examination. See, they all went to the first examination, and when they were ordered to report, then they didn't go, and they were arrested, see. But if you go to the first examination, you got a chance of failing the test, physical.
Oh, and they would go by that
Yeah.
sometimes.
That's what Danny did. He had flat feet and a murmuring heart, so they never called him.
What kind of a stand is that?
But I told him I had no intentions of going. There's no sense in you wasting your time finding out if I'm fit to go. So they began to get upset. First they were bragging about me. That's the way to do it. Don't even answer them, you know. Then Danny Peters began to spread rumors that I was disobeying organization instructions, and they all started to snub me. So I told them that I wasn't going to go to jail, but it looked like I was altogether wrong because I was picked up and thrown in jail. Instead of 5 years, we had 5 days. I was put on $1,000 bail, and I refused to pay the bail. They let me out without the bail. And then when after the trial, I was put on 5 years probation, and I never went to jail.
Probation for what? That you wouldn't, you would fight, or?
Probation because I broke the law. I told them, you know, I says, I did break the law. I broke your law in order to keep God's law.
Right. You kept breaking it because you still didn't go to
No, I didn't.
fight.
No.
They
Did
had
you
you-
ever report to the probation officer? Or?
No, he came over the house.
Oh.
Yeah. So one of the stipulations was that I have to work, so I didn't work. I quit my job and I didn't work
Really?
for 3 months till I was completely broke, then I had to go.
Right.
And there's so many things.
Okay. Is that when they started to turn against you in a way, where when you started making these stands, then the witnesses started?
Right, they said I was breaking organization instructions because the instructions weren't appeared for the first examination.
Right.
And then if they draft you not to go. So they said I was breaking organization instructions, and I was using my own head, and I was an evil servant.
They were saying that then.
Mhm.
And when was this now?
This was back in '44.
Back in 44. Okay.
So when I come back out of the trial and came home, Danny Peters said, "So you knew just how it's going to turn out?" You know? I said, "Yeah." But they all snubbed me. As soon as I looked at them, I was going to ready to greet them. They just that was terrible. You know?
When you went through all that, after going through it all,
Yeah.
pretty way.
But see, before that, Yahweh had actually said, "You must leave Jehovah's Witnesses, move into the country, stay there by yourself, and I will give you great knowledge. Afterward, you will get back together the way it'll surprise you." But it took me a long time to really understand that I must break away from my brothers and sisters. I stopped going to meetings, and I was staying in the country, and then when I saw their attitude, I began to understand more and more that there was really nothing to do with them. I couldn't convince them of anything. I would talk to them, but I couldn't convince them. When I brought out the scriptures where the children of the kingdom would weep and wail and gnash their teeth when they see Abraham, I said, I brought out it was them. So you mean that applies to us? You know, it says you're the children of the kingdom. I bring out these things, you know, and I brought out that the abomination was going to be performed by Rome, see, and not the UN. See, but didn't do any good.
Now, how long of a time was this from when you started studying with the witnesses and brought them in till the time you moved into the country?
It was about, less than 3 years.
Less than 3 years, okay.
Yeah. So the time I started studying was 40, and I brought them in after 7 months. Then in 43, that would bring you 41. It was a couple years or so.
Okay.
And then I just stayed in the country. Another thing too, that the house I was renting, I was concerned about it was being sold. It was on sale, and I didn't want it to be sold. I felt it was Yahweh's guidance and blessing, and that's when Rasmussen spoke up, and I knew Yahweh spoke through him. He said, that place won't be sold for 5 years.
Who's Rasmussen?
The neighbor at Menandica Road where I was living. I knew Yahweh had spoken, and 5 years later it was sold.
Hmm. He was just saying it off the top of his head, but
Yahweh spoke.
Yahweh spoke through him,
Yeah.
right?
He didn't know it.
Right.
5 years later it was sold, right on February the same month.
Did you ever tell him that Yahweh used him to speak through him?
No.
No. He doesn't know.
He wouldn't,
Wouldn't have listened, right?
no, he didn't believe in him. So, in all this, the number 5 came up so many times. You know, I was supposed to get 5 years, but I got 5 days, and I was in cell number 5. You know, and the place I was in for was for 5 years, and I knew that the number 5 applied to me. Right? That's where it first began to be clear. And then later on, see, number 5 is Jeremiah, 8 is the position.
Right.
And so then that helped me understand Ezekiel's prophecy. The 6, the 8, the 6, and the 5. The perfect judgment, you know, that Jeremiah is going to work on to judge the people who are coming in. It'll be, as far as we're concerned, it's perfect, you know, according to the heart condition that they show at that time.
Right.
But we don't know the future. So
Right.
the heart changes. The heart doesn't change, but they change their motivations because they feel that they can benefit more in the world, and they're selfish. So
Right.
we don't know that until they prove themselves. But Yahweh knows.
You got something to drink? Cola? Soda?
No, I'm all right. I should get a coffee.
Cold in here?
No.
I'm chilly.
Are you
chilly?
Must be about 70 in here, right?
Yeah.
It's 72.
So it's warm.
Well, if you guys get cold, I'll bring the heater in.
I'm cold.
Is that thing still running?
The heater?
This.
Oh, yeah.
So it was after I was living in the country.
Yeah. It's where it gets you. Okay, it's registering.
It was after I was living in the country. It was about, I think it was about 46 or 47. That Yahweh had promised me a great knowledge and a lot of blessings, you know, that they would see. But apparently nothing was happening, although I knew that my understanding was increasing, it appeared so little that I didn't notice it so much. You know? So I began to, I was so worried that possibly I had allowed Satan to deceive me, to leave my brothers and sisters and move there and to die out.
Right.
So this is when I got on my knees, and I never prayed so earnestly in my life for about a half hour. And I was on a blue couch, I remember. And there's where the prayer that's recorded in Jeremiah 15.
Right.
See, I says, you know, have you lied to me or allowed me to be deceived? Should I return to them? That part is not in the prayer, in the Bible. Should I return to them? It's not in there. I said, should I return to them? See,
And he answered it.
and the answer is right there out of a clear blue sky. Do not return to them, they will return to you. The answer is in the prayer. It's in the Bible.
But you
the
prayed
question,
that.
The question was not in there. Well, I prayed it.
Right.
And, oh boy, when I knew what had happened, he had answered me right out of the Bible.
You turned right to it, right?
I just went like that and started reading 15:15. Right on it. There was the beginning of the prayer, right at the beginning. Oh Lord, thou knowest, remember me and visit me. Here I was all alone, dying out, you know. Don't let me die out. That's what I prayed.
That must be an experience.
I had so much blessings, and yet I feel like I'm not worthy because I'm always complaining.
You stayed humble and meek. Yahweh knows how to do that, right? Keep us humble. It's good though, because we would get in our heads.
That really boosted me up.
Okay.
And it showed me that even though things weren't happening, they were not returning or anything, still Yahweh had spoken, and when He speaks, you know, definitely you feel you're on the right side.
Right.
You know, this is the right road, just like when you're lost and you know you got the right road,
Right.
you're happier,
Yeah.
you're not wandering around.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, I continued and until the 5 years. Then I bought a new truck on time payment, and I got a couple of jobs on my own because I couldn't stand the mason, not the mason I was working for, but his men. Every time he left, they sat down. And I couldn't take it. They would just sat down and the work had to be done. They were getting their wages. Such low lives. As soon as he left, they sat down. They weren't doing any work. And I worked like a mule, and I tried to make up for what they didn't do. And I told them, Augie, I says, I can't take this. I says, your men are a bunch of bums. I says, when you leave, they sit down. I said, I'm just gonna leave. And he said, well, men are primarily selfish. He knew that. Practically everybody in the world is primary, so they just think of themselves. But I didn't. I thought of him, you know. And,
He made excuses for him now.
yeah.
You know it.
And so I got one job after another, you know. I got a new Studebaker truck. From then on, I went in business. That's all.
Okay. Let's see about the witnesses then. Continuing on that. Now, this fellowshipping, when did that come? That was after, right? That was after you'd been gone for a while?
When the trouble began in 43 with the witnesses, and I was disfellowshipped, I think, in 64, 65, something like that.
64 or 65? That was a long time later.
Yeah.
They finally got around to writing something down.
Well, they did that because I began to gather a group of Bassaros came in, and there was about 30-some people.
Oh, yeah? And you were going to the witnesses then?
No.
No?
No, I was never going. But then they
heard.
wrote me a letter, where
Oh, I see.
I was supposed to come to trial there to see whether or not I had any reason not to be disfellowshipped and cast forever from our ranks. You know. So I called him up. I says, would this trial include a discussion of the scriptures? Oh no, nothing like that.
Who was it you talked to?
Frank Moreno.
Frank Moreno.
In other words, all they would ask is, do you or do you not agree that the society is the mother organization and that we got to be bound by her,
Right.
to her?
You couldn't tell them anything.
Yeah.
When, I think you should ask that question now, though. About his position he was gonna be given when he was a witness, and that's when Yahweh removed him and allowed somebody else to get it, Danny Peters, because they saw that your knowledge far surpassed theirs, and they wanted to put you in.
Well, yeah. When I
secretaries.
became the witness, they quickly they made me assistant company servant. They had a company servant who was head one.
Mm-hmm.
They made me assistant in case anything happens. I would be next.
Assistant company servant,
Mhm.
okay.
And the secretary, he was third.
Mm-hmm.
And the company servant was found smoking, and Danny Peters squealed on him.
Mm-hmm.
Caught him in the boys' room.
Oh, no.
And
So they wanted to
so
make
the
you-
society all of a sudden changed its rules and made the secretary second.
Oh, why?
I don't know. It went all over the world. It's changed like that. And the
Wow.
assistant company servant was third.
Otherwise, you would have been the
I
company
would have been
servant.
the company servant. But anyway, the business, the position was spared me.
Wow.
See? So Danny Peters was made company servant, the one I brought in.
Right. That's amazing. The whole society changed
Mm-hmm.
just then.
But Yahweh didn't want me in there because I would have turned everything upside down.
Right. And you weren't supposed to. You were supposed to leave
Right,
then.
Right, I'm supposed to leave.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Now that would be.
Another thing I forgot
Yeah.
was before I prayed and asked whether I should remain or go back to my brothers and sisters or what.
Mhm.
Yahweh gave me a vision and told me that I was a prophet. He comforted me there too. This was a couple years before that.
A couple years before. Okay.
Mhm.
Now the prayer you're talking about is the one in Jeremiah
Right.
1.
But
Okay.
this is not the prayer now. This is a vision. This is where he says, "You are a prophet," and that's when I answered, "Who, me?
Right.
You know, no one will listen to me. I don't have the necessary knowledge to lead your people," because I knew what a prophet, what was required of a prophet, and I certainly didn't feel that I fit the bill at all. Not at that
What a
time,
feeling,
anyway. Yeah. So I says, "Who, me? I don't have necessary knowledge to lead your people. No one will listen to me, because the witnesses were rejecting me." He says, "They shall see." Yeah. That's when he showed me the terrible troubles I'd have to go through. I was at the bottom of the wall, and the ball went up to the heavens, and I had to get over it, and there was no way at all I could get over that wall. Just had to get over it. Just impossible. So I just cringed in agony. I remember putting my hands around my knees like that, and I was cringing. Embarrassment and agony. This is some of the miseries I had to go through, like in losing a house and not being able to pay my bills, and I felt like a crook, and yet I was honest. I paid, when I came back, I paid everybody afterwards,
Right.
but at that time I
Makes you feel
lost
hard.
everything. And then this mighty arm goes across the sky and covers the sun, partially covers the sun, and boy, what a victory. I felt so beautiful. Oh my goodness. So beautiful. Everything was solid, everything.
Were you sleeping when you had this, or awake?
No.
It was a mental impression.
And I looked in all the directions of where the former problems were. Here,
Mm-hmm.
gone. There, gone. There. I looked 4 directions. Right away, so that I got that problem gone. Every problem I thought gone, and really gone. But then it also showed that they wouldn't go away all at once. It was like a ball that when you bounce it, gets away on you. Each bounce is less and less and less until it's rolling and stops. So each bounce
Gradual.
represented a lesser trouble, and they decreased and decreased till they were just gone. It was so clear. I understood everything, what the ball meant and everything.
Oh, you actually saw a ball bounce?
Yeah, it was bouncing. And I associate that with the problems getting less and less and less.
Wow.
During the vision.
That's something how Yahweh makes things clear for us so we can understand
Yeah.
what it means.
And naturally those things were helpful, but the conditions in the country there were horrible.
Yeah.
The demons in the place, Joanna screaming,
Teddy.
kids, the way they were raised. Oh, what a horrible place.
That must have been a nightmare. And no let up of it. Just having Yahweh and the truth, but then you're living this life of.
Yeah. In the 50s, I met the Tamits, and I went there 2 or 3 times a week, never failed.
Yeah.
See, I had to prepare studies every time. I hear Kevin McKee's talking about all the horrors he went through to prepare that one study. I had to prepare 2 or 3 studies a week every time.
I wish it.
And I had a business, and it was really rough, But I didn't mind it. I felt all right.
Mhm.
It wasn't that hard. And,
Excuse me. What, honey?
I've really been blessed above all men, but yet, you know, he's just held me down so that I don't feel I'm anything. I've been given the whole world, and I would feel just like, I'm not like a bum, but I wouldn't feel I was over anybody in any way. Except I do know that Yahweh is guiding me, and when somebody disobeys, I do get angry.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're going against what is right, you know.
You know what righteousness is, and
Right.
when it's Yahweh, His
You know,
indignation
when I
also.
when I see wrongdoing, deliberate wrongdoing, it just infuriates me. And
You're
I'm
sharp,
also
too.
responsible for to see that Israel is headed the right way. I can't let it get out of hand. Once it gets out of hand, you have chaos. You try to bring them back.
We thought after Yahweh, I love you, we were pretty well straightened out, but since you came back, there's been so many things that we would have gone on the wrong track, different here and there.
You were finished.
Yeah.
You were finished.
But I mean, even since you came back, there's things that had to be stopped and straightened out.
Right. Well, they can be held down.
Yeah.
Satan really poured his spirit in there and really had him.
Well then, oh yeah, that was
Really, he
terrible.
was something else. He tried, but Yahweh, you know, was ready for him.
It was an experience and a lesson.
But everything was happening. There's a blessing and a curse in a way, and he held me down. I had trouble understanding the prophecies because I was so contaminated with, even though the witnesses was a blessing in a way, yet I was contaminated with their teachings. It took me a long time to realize that the two-horned beast was not in the United States, you know, which they taught. But then the major prophecies began to be clarified while I was talking to the Tanits.
While you were talking to them,
Mhm.
it became clear.
Yeah. You know, like the Book of Revelation and 7 and 8 of Daniel and different prophecies, you know, Ezekiel, parts of Ezekiel and Isaiah, you know.
Now, should any knowledge be brought out in the witness chapter about, well, what you just said, things became clear about the beast? Should that be brought out, or is that going to be brought out? Let's see. I know the truth will be brought out in the articles, Revelation 13, there'll be a book on that and different ones. But with this chapter, should we bring out about some of the understanding? Another thing we were wondering...
No, they're separated. They should be an article.
Okay.
You know.
So this is just the history
Right.
of what happened.
Then in 1965, I remember Yahweh made the 666 clear. I was just watching television, you know, and my mind was on the 666. And all of a sudden the guy wrote out about the two superpowers or something, you know. And immediately something clicked, and I put down USSR, USA, Pope Paul. And numbered the alphabet from 1 to 26 and totaled it, and there it was. About 3 minutes was over.
And you had tried to figure it out before?
Oh, yeah.
For hours?
About 3 minutes, and I knew it was it.
And then
And yet after I did it, I said, this can't be.
and you figured it out?
I said, this can't be. I got the adding machine and checked it out. It's got to be at least one number.
Oh, boy.
You know, just to check it out. After the spirit left, I began to find fault and doubt and everything else.
It's because you've been fooled.
And right away you put Russia?
Yeah,
Yeah.
right away.
And then you probably questioned it later. Wait, it's not Russia. It's a republic.
No, I never questioned it. I just began to question it. That's what I took it to be. But the way it came out, you know, it was not a coincidence.
So anything else on the witnesses early? Esther was saying that they went to the witnesses when you were studying with the Tamitses. You started going to some halls
Right.
in the 60s?
Right. We went to some halls and we were badly treated.
Do you remember the year?
But I used to go to make contact with certain of the head ones. I went to the society in '59.
Oh, really? Well, right. You went to the society now. Why did you go there? Just to let them keep in touch and let them know about the truth, or try to get through to them?
I tried to convince them that, Yahweh was guiding me and that I knew were the things that they didn't know.
And you knew that they would get back together with you, but you didn't know how.
Right.
That's
So I was trying.
Right.
And I went to the society and asked for their best Bible scholar.
Really?
Yeah. So they sent me what's supposedly a remnant. He was born in 59. That was about 36 years ago. So I was about 42. No,
No.
32.
59 wasn't 36 years ago.
26 years ago.
Oh, I thought you said 36.
I said 36, yeah, 26 years ago. So 26 years ago, I was 42.
Yeah, 42.
So they sent me this man that was supposed to be a remnant. And incidentally, I knew him. His name was Feckle, the one that has the honey in Almond Road. His parents have a bee farm.
Oh, yeah.
Used to be on Almond Road. It wasn't Frank Feckle. Frank Feckle was, he left the Witnesses and became religious. This was Ernest Feckle, I think it was.
And he went up to the watch to.
I went to
New
the
York.
Watchtower in New York.
And
yeah.
he was up there.
They sent him down there.
Mhm.
And this is where I told you over and over again, what happened there with Greece and all, where he said, see what they did, they come out wrong with the 7 world powers. So they eliminate Greece, and they say Greece did not fall, but they make Greece and Rome one. They say Greece was absorbed.
Oh,
He
right.
told me, he says, Greece did not fall. He says, show his teeth.
Oh, right.
He says, Greece was absorbed. I says, Greece did not fall. I says, there are 7 kings, 5 are fallen. Egypt, Assyria, Babylon, Persia, Greece.
Right.
Oh, I see. That's when he started saying, he must have said it at least 12 times. And he had a grin on his face, sick, a pain and a smile at the same time.
Oh.
I brought out a few other things. I forgot what it was, but apparently he had lost the day badly. So that's what he says, if you have a foolproof understanding, write it down and bring it over. We'll check it out. Sounded good, see. So I wrote a few things, I went back, and the 18-year-old boy wouldn't let me get past the desk,
Because he knew your name and all? Knew you?
He did, I don't know if he knew, but he called upstairs and they wouldn't let me in.
Yeah, they knew. That's how they were with us after they found out. Nobody could get down to even see us that we
So
were
it
supposed
wasn't
to
the right time. But I felt I was guided to go. See, and I was guided because I had to be rejected. If I wasn't rejected, then you can't find any fault with him, right? If I didn't go and I wasn't rejected.
Right.
It's just like the scribes and Pharisees. When Yahshua came, they says, oh, he would have never done these things, They tried to clear themselves, like the forefathers killed the prophets. We would have never done it. If they lived in our day, we'd never done it. But they killed Yahshua. See? When he got there, they did it. So I was rejected.
Well, some of the discrepancies, like them saying that the beast that was and is not is the League of Nations,
And
then
the
us,
UN.
and you're right, and the UN, and us saying what it is being Rome. Should we bring that out in this chapter, or is that all going to be
That's
given
all
with?
the articles.
Okay, so we don't have
That's
to worry
the
about any of that.
information,
About what we told them and.
right. See, it's so clear that it says,
Can I finish playing with my computer?
and the beast that was and is not, even he is the 8th and is one of the 7. So it's one of the world powers. It can't be
Right.
the UN or the League of Nations. See, they're not world powers at all.
Oh, it's clear. we tried to pound that into their head when we went to them and plead with them to see that. They don't know. They didn't really know anything. Most of them.
No, they don't.
When you tell them, they just then they'd be taken away from us by their elders.
So then, I guess Yahweh, not I guess, I knew that he naturally knew that the publicity, or that Israel was going to be born in 73. So I got from 68 to 73, I had a lot of work, and I made out well and paid off all my bills, and even though they owed me close to $90,000, I still came out on top with equipment and everything, and then all of a sudden the work stopped. This is when I began to teach Israel, see, so everything was going beautiful. The only mistake I made was to open up that paint shop for
Shop.
crazy Pat John, not Pat,
John.
John Shop.
John Shop, and that's because somebody talked me into it. So this is where you got to be careful. You can't be soft.
Right.
You got to do what's right.
I felt sorry for him.
Yeah.
So then, really, we started the witness work because that was fresh on your mind, gathering the witnesses, knowing that they would get back together in a way that would surprise you. Because I remember hearing that all the time when I first came in. You were
Well, see,
telling
when I went there, I didn't really give them that much knowledge. I
Right.
proved that I knew what I was talking about. Then they rejected me there. That's wrong.
Right.
But after when you went, we had a lot more articles. We had a lot more information. We had
Right.
the 666. We had everything.
I see.
Yeah.
And plus, we had a lot of more people too.
Sure.
It could make an impression.
And I know those who met the witnesses, who talked to them, really confounded them. Mark, he talked to someone for over an hour, and he stopped them dead. The guy was doing nothing but listening.
Right. We talked to a lot of them.
So we were rejected.
How about your dream about the black witnesses? Should that be brought out?
That's not my dream.
It's not?
No, Daniel's girl dreamt it. But Daniel's,
Oh.
Yahweh spoke through her.
Yeah, I remember, yeah. And why did she bring it out? Why did...
She said, I had a dream, that the witnesses were listening to you. They were all in a room. Then she said, disappointed me, they were all black. And when I was in there was no blacks.
Really? It was all white?
And now it's called the black religion.
Right, there's a load.
So Yahweh was telling me that the blacks had come in and overrun the place, and I didn't know that.
And that, with her
And
dream...
in the dream it proves true, because that's what they are. See? And
Now-
she's the one that had the dream about John not making it.
John Shopland.
No, John Tamitz.
Oh, right.
Remember, we were running from the trouble, and were able to keep ahead of it.
But he couldn't.
He didn't make it.
Didn't make it.
We made it. We got away from it, but he didn't make it. See, and I
Now-
kept that in my mind.
Should that be brought out about her dream? About the black witnesses? Because
Yeah.
that's part of a
Yeah.
fulfillment.
Yeah.
All right, now I want to be accurate on that.
See, Yahweh has a lot of different ways of speaking to his prophets, and there was 3 times when
Right.
he spoke to others, through others.
Right, okay. Let me think. Trying to think how that should be brought out. So the fulfillment of that is that when they first come in, they'll be black, or that mostly there is black witnesses in there now?
The congregation is full of black witnesses,
Okay.
where when I was attending, there was none. Hardly.
Right, okay.
At least there was none in white.
Okay.
Anyone I met was always white. When they send a representative from the society, it was always a white one.
Okay.
Yeah, they came in later. I don't think there was any blacks with Russell's time or anything. May have been a few.
Okay. And then, anything else before we started the witness work? Anything that stands out before Israel started?
Well, except that, Israel began to grow, and we must have gone through 1,500 people or so, but most people were interested in see what was there to offer, other than truth. So they were not sincere. I met on the boardwalk yesterday. I met somebody. You might as well shut that up.
Okay. Right.
And I told the people in there that I was going to get out that day.
Right.
December the 21st, the guy looked at me and said, "Boy, you must have known what you're talking about."
He's in your
But
head.
you ain't helping
pricking
there.
his blocks.
Now, when we did the Brooklyn work, were you in jail when we started that? If I'm not mistaken. You remember?
77 you started?
Let's see.
I was in jail in 76
Right.
till December the 21st in 76.
Yeah, I think it was no, March of 77.
You started work.
Yeah. Started the Brooklyn. We did witness work before that.
Oh yeah, then you started Brooklyn later on.
Right.
I guess I was out when you did the work.
Yeah,
Brooklyn work.
but you didn't go because you said Israel because
Right,
you
I
knew
said
that
Israel.
it would
They
ruin.
wouldn't listen to me.
Right.
I'm the evil servant. Isn't that something? They get everything so twisted up. Even Yahshua was evil. Hating him without cause. That's what it says about Yahshua.
Let's see. Anything else important you want us to bring out during the time we
No, if you
did the
think of
work?
anything, I don't know, you can call me, but if I think of
Okay.
anything, I'll tell you.
Okay. I'm just going to sum everything up, and then the writers can write it. We'll just, we'll bring everything out we can get a hold of about this witness subject, and then give it to the writers and let them make it flow.